The Honourable Phil Goff.
Ministers in the chair, because the ethnic communities have asked me to raise directly with her in the House the concerns they have about their security, particularly those who are retailers, and what they tell me is the gross inadequacy of the response they're getting to protect them in their communities and on the streets when they have raised matters with the police. Just a week ago, we had the Indian Central Association conference, and the President raised with me and 3 national colleagues that were there the fact that they'd had a guts full of the sort of complacent response that they were getting from the government to say it's all okay because crime's coming down. And we've heard that again in the 2 previous national speakers in the House. They say that this is a government that is increasingly arrogant and out of touch with what's happening in the community. Let me give the Minister an example of what happened at the meeting we held last Friday night. A lady got up, her name is Mrs. Smriti Patel. She has a superette, the Island Superette in East Tamaki Road, Otara. The day before, last Thursday, a robber broke into the shop, attacked her husband with a hammer, left him bleeding and seriously injured, and she told the meeting that when she rang the police, they said they were too busy to respond. I find that inexplicable. I'm not sure that that can be right, Mr. Chairman. But she said that, and I would have hoped that there'd be a policeman at that meeting to respond to her, because I wrote to 3 ministers, the Minister of Police, the Minister of Justice, and the Minister in charge of Child, Youth and Family, and said we've got this growing concern. The ethnic community want your representatives along to answer the questions, to respond, to have dialogue with them, to hear their concerns. You know, Mr. Chairman, not one of those departments turned up. They all said no. They declined to be there. The request we made, and I made through the ministers, was respectful. Their response was not. We had the case last week of a young Thai girl who had her iPhone robbed off her. She has a Find Your iPhone app on her iPad. She found out where the offenders were. She rang the police and said, come with me and get my phone back and arrest the offender. They said, no, we won't. She had to turn up herself with her taxi driver to retrieve the phone, and no police to arrest the people that had robbed her of that phone. I got another case referred to me of a man whose home had been burgled, and they'd taken his credit card, and a service station rang him up and said, your credit card's been used to buy petrol. He rang the police up saying, we've got it on CCTV, we can find the identity of the offender. You know what happened? They said, we're too busy, you'll have to go down there and retrieve the footage. And he did, Mr. Chairman. He went down, he got it, he took it to the police. They said, no, that's not enough evidence, you'll have to find some more. Now, another man that was at the meeting, Indi Pirawal, has a superette in the minister's own electorate. On the Friday night, 3 weeks ago, the assistant upstairs, asleep in his bedroom, was woken up with a offender trying to break in through the window. He rang the police. The man was still there trying to break in. The police said they were too busy. On the Sunday, again, the same shop assistant was behind the counter. 7 teenagers came marauding into the shop, stealing cigarettes, trying to open the till, taking the goods. I've seen it all on CCTV. He rang up. The police said, we're too busy to come. They were still in the vicinity. Only when the owner, Mr. Pirawal, turned up and said, I'm going to go out there with a gun and get these ... and then the police came immediately. But I asked the minister why that shopkeeper had to do that to get a response. They tell me the police are too busy, too stretched, too under-resourced to respond in the way that every New Zealand citizen has the right to have the police respond when they're under attack. And they've had a gutsful of this, and they've had a gutsful of the arrogance and the complacency and the fact that this government is so out of touch that they won't respond other than by saying what the minister just has, it's all right, crime's coming down. If you're the person that's the victim, if you're the person who's been attacked, that response is not adequate. And I say to the minister, it's time that she got the resources to the police, for example, to get more than 6% of all burglaries resolved. If you're a crook in Auckland and you're stealing from houses, you've got a 94% chance of getting away with it. Those figures have got worse every year. It's time the Minister shook herself out of her complacency and did something.
Dave Tandem.
Great speech.